Hello, families of GS students. Thanks for joining. Some of you have been with us all morning. Some of you are just joining now. Either way, we're thrilled to have you here. And I'm going to introduce you to our Dean of Students, Marlon Delva. Some of you, if you joined us for the live stream welcome ceremony, may have heard Marlon speak earlier as we welcomed our students. And we're thrilled to deep dive a little bit on the resources available to your GS student with the team here. I'm happy to share with my colleagues from the earlier session. We have families joining us from as far as the Philippines, South Africa, Japan, East Coast, West Coast, and some New Yorkers. So we have many time zones and many great GS supporters here. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Dean Delva, who's our Dean of Students, and she'll introduce the team. Thank you, Marlon.
Thank you so much, Jill. It's great to be here with everyone. Good morning. It's a beautiful day here in New York, and we're thrilled to have our students joining us remotely and in person for the first time in over a year and a half. What we're planning to do with our time with you is really do, as Jill mentioned, go a little bit deeper into the resources of the Dean of Students office. The purpose of this presentation is to simply provide you with information as to who we are and what we do, so that when your student speaks to you, you too can encourage them to touch base with us and to get to know who we are and helping them to keep in touch with us during their time here. It's a great place to be. Students have a great time, but there are challenges that come up. Life happens. These are adults, and we're here to support them throughout all of it. So we hope that the information that we're sharing with you this morning will enable you to guide your student as they navigate their time here at the university. I have the privilege to oversee what is commonly known as the Dean of Students office, which is comprised of 4 distinct offices, as well as my colleague, James Colgrove, who will be joining us at the end of the session to talk about our post-bac pre-med program. But in the Dean of Students office specifically, we have our Academic Resource Center headed by Dr. Sarah Remedios Bloom. We have our Wellness Center team that's headed by Dean Amber Griffiths. We have our Advising Unit that's headed by Dean Joshua Edwin. And we have our Student Life unit that's headed by Dean Sean Trolby. You will hear from each of my colleagues about their departments. And then at the end, after Dean Colgrove will be joining us a little closer to the end to speak about the Office of the Post-Bac Pre-Med program, we all together will help answer some questions about our offices, our resources, and however else we can be assistance to you and to your students. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to my first colleague who will speak about their department.
Thank you so much, Dean Delva. It is so nice to be with you all and to welcome you and your students to Columbia and to GS. We are, as everyone has said, so excited to be back on campus and coming to you virtually from our offices for the first time in a little bit. So I'm Sarah Remedios Bloom. I'm the director of the Academic Resource Center, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about the academic support programming that we have available to your students. The biggest thing to know about the ARC is that we really believe that academic support is for everyone. Whether a student has, been doing really, really well in a class and is hoping to get from an A to an A+, or to get an A+ and TA the course the next semester, or hasn't been in a math class in 20 years and is starting the post-bac program and is thinking about Calculus 1 in a little bit of a different way than someone who was in AP math last semester. We want to be a resource for every student. We really take seriously our commitment to helping students through the challenges of the Columbia classroom. And especially for GS students coming from being out of the classroom for a little bit, or coming from a different learning environment in an overseas university and getting to know the American classroom. We want to make sure that we help students have support as they go through that. So you may have had a student with us in Jumpstart last week, which is a little preview classroom. We had faculty come in and offer lectures. We did mock workshops and seminars and really give students a chance to understand what the classroom will feel like when they're getting started and know what they're getting into and build some community and some skills heading in. We also will be running University Studies, which is a first semester success course, helping students think reflectively about what they are experiencing, and all of the resources available and all of the opportunities available to them to have a thoughtful approach to that first semester on campus. We offer peer advising, who are trained undergraduate students who are familiar with all of the policies and resources, so that if students have questions about where to connect or how to connect, they have not only their academic advising team, the academic support team, but also peers who are going through it with them and who can offer that peer perspective and guidance. We have peer tutoring and reading and argument coaching, which is hands-on support with the classes students are taking. So for tutoring, we have tutoring available in all of our gateway math, science, economics, and language courses. And for reading and argument coaching, it's hands-on help with social science and humanities courses. Students who will help you with your reading, who will help you get ready for paper and writing assignments, and really feel like you have that support working through the content. We also have individual consultations, so one-on-one appointments with myself or another member of our professional staff to talk about time management, study strategies, metacognition, really anything that a student thinks could be helpful as an extra resource or an extra strategy. We want to be available and we want to be a part of their team. So more information is there in our website, and students and families are welcome to be in touch with us by email with any questions. But I really hope you will encourage your students to connect with the ARC and to come see us. Again, we want to be a resource for every student, and we want to be a resource at every stage along their path to success at Columbia. So thank you in advance for any help you can offer getting that message out to your students. And I will turn it over to my colleague, Amber Griffith.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber Griffiths. I'm the Associate Dean of Student Wellbeing here at GS. It is so nice to be here with you guys today. We get to know our students so well, but we don't have too many opportunities to interact with their loved ones. So this is really a pleasure, and thanks so much for signing in to be with us. So my primary function at GS is to support our student well-being on campus. And we see well-being as a big concept with many different dimensions, including, physical well-being, emotional well-being, mental health, social, spiritual, financial well-being, etc. And we have resources all across campus to support all of those dimensions. And a big part of my job is to help students connect with and access those resources, as well as, of course, being an advocate for them and just an extra layer of support to them during, challenging moments if they arise. My background is in social work, and that's just very much how I approach my role here at GS. You guys will come to learn, and you'll hear from our students that Columbia it's an absolutely incredible place. I think your students are going to be just profoundly impacted, positively impacted by being here. And there are so many extraordinary opportunities, and they're going to be challenged in the best possible ways. But that said, it can also be an overwhelming environment at times, definitely a complicated environment to navigate, especially when somebody's brand new to the community. So I, along with all of my colleagues on the panel today, we do our very best to help students navigate this space and feel comfortable in this space, and connect to all of those helpful resources. But most importantly, everything we do, we try and help them to prioritize their health and their well-being above absolutely everything else. You guys are going to hear a bit from my colleagues, Dean Edwin and Dean Colgrove, and they're going to talk to you about sort of the advisor relationship and what the student's advisor is going to offer. And they really serve as the primary touch point and touch point for the students at GS. But oftentimes, if the student is going through something, a little bit more challenging, or they're having a tough time, their advisor is going to refer them to me for an additional bit of support. And I just serve as another helpful person on their team. So I know, you guys are really probably bombarded with a lot of wonderful information today. But the one main idea that I want to convey to you, the one thing that I hope that you take with you after today's session is that, we imagine that you're going to be keeping in touch with your loved one, our student. And if you ever hear in their voice that they're having a hard time, or, if they have sort of seem to have a lot of questions about resources, or if they're facing challenges that are affecting their academic success, please just encourage them to connect with us. It really can help to talk with us about whatever it is that they're trying to navigate. And then together, we can come together and figure out the best path forward. All 6 of us on this panel today, we have guided hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students through this process. We know Columbia inside and out. And we're here to help, and we will do whatever it takes to make sure that each student genuinely has the best possible experience. That's what we want for them. Again, it's just so nice to be here with you guys today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of our session. And I'm going to hand it over to my wonderful colleague, Dean Trolby.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today. We're excited to be here with you on Zoom, and we're excited to be here on campus with all of your new students today. They're really excited, and they're in all these programs right now. So I'm here to talk about the Office of Student Life. It's a wonderful team of 7 staff members that support students and really put on fantastic programs and events and learning opportunities that occur in a co-curricular setting, so outside of the classroom, that really syncs up and helps our students learn outside of the classroom, that kind of combines with what they're learning inside of the classroom. So this is a very high-level overview of our programs and support from the Office of Student Life here at the School of General Studies. But for more information, I've included the link to our website, which goes in depth about all of these programs. It's got a calendar of events that has all of our events for the fall semester. With any questions, our email address is here that you can reach out to, or encourage your students to reach out to. We're happy to help with students. As many of my colleagues have said already, we're really excited to be back here on campus for this semester in person. Should anything change in the public health world, we do have the capacity to host all of our programs in an online format, as well as in a hybrid format of online and in person. The first category of programs that we have in our office is leadership discussions and skill buildings workshops. These are really wonderful small group discussions about a variety of different skills, from working in a team to managing your time to things of that nature. And it's a fantastic opportunity, again, for our students to learn skills that kind of supplement what they're learning inside of the classroom. A big area of the work that we do is multicultural, racial, and social justice education. This includes workshops, things like we have a social justice 101 series, how to manage and deal with acts of oppression. How do you become a better ally to students? We have identity-based community connection spaces for students based on their various different identities and experiences, whether that's LGBTQ students, students of color, first-gen low-income students, students with families, international students, etc. We partner with our colleagues in the other 3 undergraduate schools, so for undergraduate-wide programs, including the Heritage Months, which there are 6 of throughout the year that celebrate different heritages of our students, and those are a great way to build community and connect with people with similar backgrounds. Our office also hosts general social and community and student connection spaces. We oversee the new student orientation program, so there's many different community development opportunities this week for your students that are social opportunities for them to connect with their peers in the incoming class, as well as their orientation leaders, which are upper class students, and we continue that throughout the semester for just general connection and community spaces for the GS community. In addition, we sponsor opportunities for students to get to know our staff, our faculty, and our alumni better, whether those are informal events like a coffee event with Dean Delva. We have ice cream and bagels with Dean Rosenmetch. We have formal faculty events throughout the semester where students can take a faculty member to dinner and have a conversation there. And we work with our alumni relations team, who you know very well from this call, to do alumni panels and things of that nature. We offer study breaks and creative spaces and wellness programs. One of our team members works very closely with Dean Griffiths to do proactive wellness programming for the students to help them manage their stress and make sure that they're doing well here. And not lastly, but the bullet is we oversee a handful of mentoring programs. So these are opportunities with students that students have to connect with upper class specially trained students. The GS Mentors program is open to all undergraduate and post-bac students and is essentially an extension of the Orientation Leader program. It's a social mentor that really is just there as kind of an assigned buddy or an assigned friend that your students can reach out to and ask about the best restaurants in the neighborhood, about how to navigate student clubs, about where to do their laundry or things like that. It pairs very well with the program that Deans Remedios, Bloom, and Edwin talked about, the peer advising program. This is a really socially focused program that's similar there. We have a specific program that mentors for our student veterans. So again, specific veteran concerns are captured into that, but is similar to the main veteran program. The main mentors program. And lastly, our resident advisor program. We have 4 specially trained students that live in housing to help our students navigate housing with any questions they have, with any issues they might have with a roommate or a neighbor, things like that. And our RAs also host wonderful community development events so that students can connect with their fellow students that live in housing. Lastly, we oversee, the university has about 500 undergraduate-wide student groups that your students are able to join. Those range from pretty much anything that you can think of, from club sports to identity-based groups to performing arts groups to activist groups and things of that nature. Our office specifically works with the GS-focused student organizations, so those groups that have a non-traditional mission or focus specifically on the GS community. There's a whole plethora of those as well, but again, there's over 500 at the university that your students can join. Again, that was a lot of information. All of this is in even more detail on our Student Life website. And here's our email address and link to the website as well. So thank you so much. And I will pass it over to my colleague, Dean Josh Edwin.
Thank you, Dean Schwalbe, and thank you everyone for being here. As you have probably started to understand after hearing from my wonderful colleagues, a big part of our philosophy in the Dean of Students Office at GS is to think about students holistically and work with them holistically. So we're interested in helping them grow and learn and develop all these different facets of themselves. And they're all, they all matter, they're all important. Every aspect of their experience here is important. With that said, the aspect that I focus on is academic advising, as you can see here. I lead up the academic advising team for undergraduates here at GS. For the post-bac pre-med students, there's another team of wonderful academic advisors who I think we'll hear about from Colgrove a little bit later on. But just to focus for a few minutes on academic advising for undergraduates. The way that we tend to think about undergraduate advising, as you can see on the slide, is that each student gets a sort of personal guide to program fulfillment. So each student is matched with an academic advisor, and they have a one-on-one relationship starting right now, today, day one. Your student may well have already met with their academic advisor and or exchanged emails with them. So starting from the very beginning all the way through to graduation, each student works with their academic advisor for personalized advising and guidance through the degree program. The BA program at Columbia GS can be described as one destination, many paths, by which I mean all of the students. We have over 2,000 undergraduates GS. They're all working towards a Bachelor of Arts degree, but they're taking many different paths to get there. They do different majors, they have transfer credits, or they don't have transfer credits. They all work through one universal set of requirements called the core requirements, which are our liberal arts breadth requirements, but there are often options for which classes take to fulfill individual requirements from that list. So everybody is ultimately working towards the same goal, but on their own path to getting there. And individualized advising in this environment means that you can understand the choices before you, which classes to take to fulfill which requirements, and then make smart decisions. So your student will every single time make their own decisions about what major they want to do and how they want to fulfill requirements, but their advisor will be there with them along the way to help make sure that they're making smart and informed decisions. So academic advisors help students plan their schedules semester in, semester out. We help students plan their overall, long-term plan, how they're going to fulfill all their degree requirements, again, from day one all the way through graduation. And this is a conversation that ideally evolves over time. When I first meet with a student, I try to get to know them a little bit, try to understand their goals and their ambitions for their time at Columbia, try to understand their context as they're stepping into this space. And then since we're working together from day one all the way through to graduation, the conversation changes and grows over time. They take classes, they learn about what they like and what they don't like as much. They learn, they may shift their ambitions slightly, or they may, narrow their focus. And my team were there all along the way to be sure that they're getting what they need and getting answers to the questions that they need answered. When it comes to academic matters, we often do answer the questions directly. So as Dean Griffiths was mentioning, if you're talking with your student and they have a question about academics, one super helpful thing you could do would be to say, hey, you should email your academic advisor about that. We would appreciate the referral. In the event that a student has a question that an academic advisor is not able to answer directly, we then swing into action, connecting the student to whoever it is at the university can answer that question. So we both help directly and also refer to other resources. And it may be that we'll refer a student to one of the other wonderful people you just heard from here, or it may be that we'll say, oh, you should talk with your major academic department about that. Or, oh, you have a question about study abroad, you should talk with the study abroad office, and we'll direct them to the study abroad office. So, the university is a big, complex and wonderful place, and we help students find their way to the experts to get the information that they need. The last specific thing I wanted to touch on here is a bit of specialized advising. So on top of the general academic advising that I've just been describing, we do have some specialized advising, individual members of the academic advising team that work with students on things like study abroad, thinking about graduate schools for students who are interested in pursuing a master's degree or a PhD or whatever it is. We have specialized advising to help students think that through. And we do have specialized pre-med advising for undergraduates. That gets in a bit more into the Colgrove area. But for undergraduates who are interested in going to medical school, we can provide specialized pre-med advising for that specific path. So in summary, on the academic advising team, we are here to support your students. We're here to help them specifically with academics, but also in the event that they're not sure who to go to get an answer to a question on another matter, we're here to make sure that they find whatever they need anytime that they need it. That's what we do. And we're very, very happy to be doing it with your students starting this semester. So that's it for me. I'm going to turn things back over, I think, to you, Delva.
Wonderful. So I'm not sure, I don't know if Jill, you have a sense of Dean Colgrove hopped on just yet?
Sure. So I think some of our parents know from earlier that our welcome session went a little longer than we expected, which was a good thing because there was so much being shared from all of our colleagues across campus, including the president of the university. And because of that, Dean Colgrove, who is our dean of the post-bac pre-med program, is running behind schedule. So Dean Delva, do you just want to highlight James's role and his team?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So Dean Colgrove is the head of our post-bac pre-med team. He oversees a small but mighty group, as he would fondly call them, of advisors that really help to guide and advocate the students through every step of the process in preparing to become the health professional that they're here to set out to be. They assist students in getting letters of reference, writing personal statements, mock interviews, anything that really will make them a strong candidate for the health profession school next step that they're applying to. They also run a number of student panels and presentations on strategies for success, such as how to manage some of the sciences in the first year, the application year, the year between when they finish the post-bac or pre-med program and the year that they have to spend applying, which is called the glide year, as well as MCAT prep and linkage processes and programs. So they really walk the student through hand in hand every step of the way, from the moment they begin with the sciences and the courses to the point when they are then matched with their school, with admitted school in their professional endeavor. So that is a very quick overview of Dean Colgrove's area. I'm sure I didn't do it justice. He would do it much better than I in his experience there, but just wanted to give you a sense as to what is happening on the post-bac pre-med pre-health side of our house here. So why don't we go ahead and if you could use the question and answer, the chat function feature on the discussion board. We're happy to answer questions via chat. We're also, if you are so brave, come off mic and ask us a question. We're also happy to do that as well.
You were a very chatty group in the last session, so I hope we haven't tired you out. Here's a question. Does ARC provide tutoring for all subjects? Sarah, do you want to take that?
Sure, that's a great question. So we have tutoring for gateway math, science, economics, and language courses, meaning pre-calculus through linear algebra, all of the pre-med subjects, general chemistry, general physics, organic chemistry, and biology. for economics major, principles of econ up through econometrics, and then Spanish and French at the elementary and intermediate level. We've chosen the subjects based on the highest demand. Those are the most popular classes, and they're the classes where we can most reliably staff tutoring. There are some courses where if there's a handful of majors, being able to guarantee that we would have someone able to tutor can be a little more difficult. And that's where the reading and argument coaching comes in. So the hands-on tutoring is for those more technical courses. And then for courses in social sciences and humanities, there is hands-on help, help understanding the readings, help talking them through. We also have the one-on-one consultations for subjects where we don't have tutoring support, where we can work with students to understand, based on how they're being assessed in the course, the most effective study strategies and other resources that are available on campus. So we don't have tutoring in every single subject. We have tutoring in certainly the subjects that have the highest demand. And if there's a course your student is taking where they are looking for help and it doesn't have tutoring, please encourage them to speak with me, because there are lots of resources available. They just might be a slightly different format.
Thanks, Sarah. It was a great question. Any other questions or comments for our stellar advising team?
I do have a question about Japanese immersive. Obviously, the class is immersive. Are there additional sessions that will be encouraged or held outside of class for someone needing to kind of get up to speed in the speaking realm?
So that is a great question. I'm guessing that you're asking about a student who's taking a Japanese language course. All of our language courses are taught immersion style, meaning that you will speak the language you are learning from your first day. And it can certainly be a little bit of an adjustment for students. On the other hand, there is a lot of research supporting that as a really optimal way to learn the language. The language courses are small to make sure that students have that hands-on help as they're going through in the classroom. And the instructors also offer office hours and additional help. So many of the language departments also have speaking studios that are available, where you can get together with other students learning the language. And I know Casa Italiana, it's like wine and Italian language. Maison Francais has that as well. There are a lot of different opportunities to practice. So I'm not specifically familiar with what resources are there for the Japanese language program, but there will absolutely be hands-on help with the professor in office hours at a minimum.
Thanks very much for answering that question. I appreciate that. We are in a really chatty group.
I don't know what happened. Is everyone eating lunch now? And that's okay. I know some of our time zones, we were getting folks just probably at the end of their evening. So maybe they are comfortably.
Yeah.
I do have a question. I'm a slow typer, so I figured I'd just ask. So my daughter graduated from the University of Michigan, and she's used to a rigorous course load. And so one of the things about joining Columbia, she was concerned about, everybody was telling her how rigorous this program is, how intense it can be. So will there be ways, classes, things available to them to help relieve some of that stress and the anxiety that comes along with such a rigorous course load?
I think a few of us can answer that question. First, I'm going to take the first stab on behalf of the office overall, and specifically our Dean of Wellbeing, who actually had to head off to another event because of our delayed schedule. But in essence, we offer a number of different programs and opportunities for our students. Dean Tolby can speak to some of the student life events and activities for students to engage and connect and disconnect as necessary. Dean Griffiths offers in collaboration with our advising team a program called Getting Things Done that helps students to manage their time as well as their stress levels. She also partners with our counseling and psychological services offices that offer group sessions and individual sessions on ways of coping and managing and dealing with stress. So there are multiple opportunities for students to engage in ways of thinking about how to manage their time, their priorities, but also how to manage and take care of themselves. I'm not sure if any of my other colleagues, specifically in the departments they oversee, want to share anything, but there's quite a bit that is done for students to ensure that they're taking care of themselves and of their health.
I'll just jump in. I know I'm answering a lot of questions. Every student who comes into GS will be part of a community in their first semester that is really focused on helping them through that transition. So undergraduates, most GS undergraduates will be taking university studies with the ARC team or a member of the undergrad advising team. Students in our international dual degree programs will be part of Compass, which is an optional community program to talk about the transition, the differences in the courses, and the experience from what they had in their first 2 years as undergraduates. Students in the LIST college program will be in LIST 101, which is similar to university studies that help through LIST, and postbacks are invited to participate in Postbac 101, which is a transition again to the learning environment and also a lot of information from the postbac advising team on navigating the pre-medical journey. So we know that it can be a little bit of a transition. We also know that your student is going to be able to be successful, and they will hear us tell them that repeatedly through the transition, and hands-on help from all of our teams, and specifically also from their academic advisor in finding those resources if it starts to feel a little bit overwhelming. But we know students are a little nervous about that transition often, and so we make sure that we really have a hand on their back throughout that first semester in programming and helping them connect with one another so that they know that that's how everyone feels. And when we can normalize the experience, it can feel much more supportive and much more exciting. So it's a really wonderful question, and it's something that we try to really focus on.
Thank you both for answering. I appreciate it.
I'm happy to.
Here that might be helpful. Oh, maybe you're already jumping in. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Dean Silva. I'm happy to answer the next question that Adam has put into the chat. I mean, and to echo what Dean Remedios and Dean Delva were saying about just wellness resources, I think connecting to the community is good for your well-being. So I think that is extremely helpful to help your new students as well. Having a support network of peers and their fellow students, in addition to all of the official resources, is so helpful. Just someone that you want to just take a walk with, or grab a coffee with, or grab lunch or dinner with is helpful for that. So the question in the chat is, what are the best ways for our students to interact with the other undergraduate schools, including CC, Columbia College, as well as Columbia Engineering and Barnard College? So our office frequently partners with our counterpart student life offices. This week, for example, there are a plethora of 4 undergraduate school events that are tagged within the orientation schedule that your students can see, so they can start engaging during NSOP week now, during this orientation week. Throughout the semester, our offices officially partner for a handful of joint programs, but really I think the best way for students to get to know their fellow students outside of the classroom, of course, because all of the classes at Columbia are joint undergraduate wide. So they'll be sitting in the classroom with students from the other 3 undergraduate schools. But in terms of outside of the classroom, I think one of the best ways to do that is joining a student group. As I mentioned, there's over 500 student groups on campus, and they're all obviously based on a certain interest or a background or experience that a student has. So if they're like, personally, I love skiing. So I'm like, hey, I could join the ski club and I can meet students in all 4 undergraduate schools that are interested in skiing. So not only are you getting to know students from other schools, but you're getting to know someone based on an interest. So that makes forming those connections much more meaningful and much more in depth. So I think that's a really great resource. Again, there are over 500 student groups on campus that are open to all 4 undergraduate schools. So it's pretty likely that an interest is there, and that's a great way to just informally get to know folks. Are there any other questions? We're here and happy to help.
Well, I want to thank my colleagues from the Dean of Students office for sharing all of their resources and joining us today. And of course, many thanks to all of you for being here to support your GS student. there is a final program for parents and families of students that starts in 20 minutes. So maybe this is the coffee break for everyone, and we'll share the link in the chat. The next presentation, you'll get the choice, you'll have the opportunity to meet current students and alumni and hear how they've experienced GS and what resources they highlight. Thank you everyone so much for joining, and thanks to my colleagues for making time on this busy welcome day.
Thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you. All the best, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, there's a last.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.